A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
That's your NPR voice, dude.
We are live here in the studio with Jerry Wagner Jr. Hi. So just to say hello to everyone and thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Go check out the Patreon. And you can go listen to Jerry's tomorrow. It'll be out soon. Well, it'll be out before you hear this, but Jerry's playlist is up there. We talked 30 minutes. You maybe want to quickly describe what the playlist is that you did.
It is my A is for Alcoholic playlist. I felt like maybe I love music, and actually I don't want to sound corny, but music has actually helped me with my recovery process a lot. And so I decided to, Spotify's awesome. So I put together a little playlist on Spotify. I thought it'd be interesting for the Patreon listeners to maybe they'll find something in there that'll inspire them or help them out.
Yeah. So, and it was a list of songs that kind of went from your first drink to your last.
It went through like the whole process. Yes, that was at least my intention.
Yes.
It went through the whole process of from the first drink all the way up to like the point in recovery where you're doing all right.
Right.
Maybe I should have thrown some Bob Seger in there at the end.
Against the winds.
Yeah. Oh man,
that'll be on. You can do that for the next one. So there's all kinds of cool stuff on Patreon. Also, our sponsors are Green Camel Press. They do comics, greeting cards, and more. GreenCamelPress.com. They have Christmas cards for sale right now, and full disclosure, it is my other business as well. So go check it out. Me and my business partner do a lot of different art stuff, and we are working on children's books, comic books, greeting cards, all kinds of cool things. GreenCamelPress.com. And I think that's it. Do you have anything?
No. I'm not playing Red Dead Redemption right now, so I'm not sponsored by that. I'm sponsored by the new DLC on Ark. I'm sponsored by playing video games, and I'll be on Shark Tank with that pretty soon here.
I like to play video games. Give me money.
To play video games. Give me some money there, Dan Cuban, Ronnie Cuban. I don't know what his name is.
What's his name? It doesn't matter. Mark
Cuban. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Mark Cuban. Yeah.
So today
I did
what? You did what?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I went downstairs to get a glass of water in the bathroom in the bathroom sink, and I forgot that I'd put one of those blue tablets in the toilet tank, and the water in the toilet was blue, and I thought I was having a stroke for a second.
You're all better now.
Yeah, that was me touching the void.
Touching the void. So the V is for void, for filling the void. What is the void? Who has a void? What do you do with your void? How do you I don't know how deeply we can wax philosophical and be legit, but I feel like one of the things that always they talk about addiction is the opposite. Connection is the opposite of addiction, and so when you're trying to connect with people, with friends, with family, with some might say a higher power, a God, a spirit, whatever, spirituality, that your addiction are just the wrong tools to get you there. Because I think we all, I know that I did at a certain point, really connected with alcohol, and it was the thing that got me through a lot of bad stuff, at least temporarily, until it stopped working. And so there's always this void and this hole. And if you listen to Alan Watts, he'll talk about filling the what they call the God hole. Everyone's just sort of, and we've talked about it before, about how, especially in this time, this day and age, it's much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just atheistic, secular,
or agnostic, secular. That's it.
Secular is the word I'm looking for, and so that it's a lot harder when back, even 300 years ago, people, they were told, well, you go to church, God will save you, your soul will be saved, and then they were complete. And so then when we start to look at things differently and realize that, maybe for some of us, we can't go to church on Sunday and our soul won't be saved, you're like, well, shit, what do I do? How do I fill this void? And I think as an alcoholic, I was trying to fill it with anything and everything, and just as consume and imbibe as much as possible to the point of hurting ourselves, or hurting myself. So I think that's one. I feel like the void in me was definitely, now through the program that I work, it was definitely like a spiritual one, right? So
Yeah, okay.
and
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself like hugely spiritual by any means, and I don't even know what that means because everyone has their own definition, about going to church or praying or meditation. I do, 2 out of 3 of those things. But it's when you first, like that first pop of alcohol, when you first have it and you're like, it feels like you've been awakened, I mean, I don't know how you, do you feel like, is there a void inside of you, Jerry, or was there one? I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily a spiritual void. I mean, I was raised on the border to Mexico, Roman Catholic, with a Mexican mom and an Italian dad. So we had a lot of spirituality kind of happening to us. But as I grew older, I kind of grew farther from religion or spirituality. And I'm not religious. I don't subscribe to any religious belief. And my spirituality is, it's functional. It works. I use it for what I can use it for. But when I think of the void, because John and I text each other the day before usually, and kind of try to discuss, what letters are going to do. And void is a weird one. It's actually V. Void's not a weird one. V is a hard letter because there's a lot of weird words that start with V. But void, when I think of the void, I always felt like they were cracks and holes in my own personality that I had to shore up with alcohol. And alcohol was the device, the spackle, the personality spackle I had to use because I grew up with like a really bad self-esteem, and I grew up actually, fuck that, I hated myself. I literally hated myself. Like, I attempted suicide multiple times. Like, I fucking had an issue with me. And when even before I was drinking, I was trying to fucking, hurt myself. So when I found alcohol, that seemed to be my saving grace. That was the thing that kind of shored up all those awful things I felt about myself were now inflated. And inflated in a good way at first, Like,
sure.
Yeah, I used to walk into a room like a fucking hunchback scarecrow, and then I'd start drinking, and I'd turn into fucking Liberace, dude. Like I was all
I've been there.
Sequenced.
I lived with you.
Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah, I'd turn into the most charming man on earth, and eventually, as with alcohol being a depressive chemical,
turn back to the scarecrow.
Turn back to a broken scarecrow. It gets even worse. The hatred gets worse. So for me, it was filling those voids in my personality, in my esteem.
Yeah.
How I felt about myself. Yeah, I couldn't talk to girls, dude. I couldn't talk to other men. I couldn't talk to anybody. I just couldn't. So that's what it was for me. But I think within the program I started working, I found that spirituality, and it was definitely helpful. I don't know if I can say that finding that spirituality cured it all or saved me, but I think it definitely fucking helped, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, and maybe I didn't, I don't want to come off as if I was lost and now I'm found.
No, I didn't think you were, and I know you.
That is not. And for those of you who don't know me, that was not my the impression I was trying to make. Just that there was a lot of times, growing up, and I was just kind of feeling lost. And we talk about this idea of not fitting in. Alcoholics often, they all talk about not fitting in. So what does the literature say? Irritable, restless, and discontent.
Yeah, it's very common.
And so when you get this thing that you can have, just like you have that first sip, and you're like, oh man, I'm home again. This is that warm wash through my whole body and through my veins. It's just like, oh my God, I'm myself. And so in a way, it's kind of like that liquid cement that you just pour into the cracks of your personality. And for me, and there's been a few times, I don't want to say there's only, I hope for more, but there's been a few times where something has sparked in me, whether I was reading a book or working with somebody else, with a mentor, or in a meeting and listening to somebody speak, where like I felt something real, and and maybe
Yeah.
that's just not feeling real emotions for 20 years. And you go, oh,
Yeah.
this is what normal people feel like when they have empathy and listen. But there was like, oh wow, what was that? That was magic. Was that spirituality? Was that a connection with something? Was it just the right chemicals in the right way? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a particular God that I pray to. I like to think that, I subscribe to all of them, the
Sure.
God of the trees, and the God of clean water, and I don't know. But so maybe, and again, it's not wholly spiritual, but there's also the void of just basically like, I don't know what the fuck to do, or I don't know how to behave. Nobody ever taught me. So maybe the void is
Yeah.
not being raised right. No offense to your parents or to
No,
my
I love
parents.
them. They did the best they could with what they had. My mom says that to me quite a bit, and I agree with her. I mean, the first few times I heard it, I was like, okay, that's kind of a diss. But now that I see it, now that I'm a parent myself, I'm like, oh, right, shit. But anyway, yeah, it could be that lack of whatever it is, But I don't know if anybody's raised perfectly. And people who are raised really well, they suffer from their problems from addiction too. But... And I'm not trying to discount everything you say. This is my thought process on the thing. It's like that void, that hole. It could be any hole. It could be anything to shore up your self-esteem, or to as a replacement for your spirituality, or even as just an affectation and a device that makes you seem more interesting, that turns its fucking teeth on you eventually.
Yes,
because that was definitely the way I used it too. This is my affectation, is that I'm an alcoholic. Look how cool I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Yeah,
it's like having a pet tiger. It's still a wild animal.
Exactly. And eventually turns around and bites you in the fucking skull. You get Siegfried and Roy. Like
that's it.
Yeah.
So alcohol is the white tiger, and you're Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah, and then you're doing fine. One day
you're up on stage. Everybody loves you. You're putting on a show, and then
half your scalp gone.
So, and the void also for me was, and the thing that I learned working my program and having somebody with me to work it, was that I didn't have the tools to be an adult. And so so I was never taught those before I started drinking alcoholically. Nobody ever taught me, just, it's amazing. Like, I can't believe that it's only been in the last 3 years that I've learned how to behave as an adult, to return phone calls, and to, get up in a timely fashion, whatever day, time of the day that might be for you, and to handle your business, and to pay your bills on time, and, to eat well, and go have a little exercise, John. Like, it's only been in the last 3 years, and I'm going to be 42 in a few months. So, right. So there was a huge void for 37 years, 38 years or something, of just not knowing how to do it. And we all managed, we all got by, we all made the rent eventually on the 10th or the 12th of the next month.
Yes.
So I think that's one thing that sobriety brings to me, is filling in. And again, the analogy you used is actually perfect. It's these cracks in our personality, in my just in my way of living. Like, oh shit, I can't believe I used to live that way.
Yeah. Yeah. What was acceptable back then as compared to what's acceptable now. But I was thinking when you were talking earlier about having these genuine moments, in sobriety. And I have to agree with you. In the 4 years that I've been sober, I've had way more genuine aha moments. You know what I mean? I've had everything's more clear. Everything's clarified, like I've had way more than I did in those like 17, 18 years of drinking. And even before that as a kid, but yeah, it's I don't know if I'm trying to sell this to the listener or whatever, but it just feels like I'm like, listen, man, I've understood way more in 4 years with having a clear, unclouded fucking brain, than I did that entire time.
Yeah, I don't
fucked up.
I mean, I don't think I'm certainly not trying to sell anybody anything.
No,
but there's some there's something to it that, you know, it didn't exist before. All the
Word.
moments of
Yeah.
like the sort of like the high was always artificial, and with something artificial, it doesn't last. And not that the high lasts, but I'm able to kind of hold on to it for a little bit longer, and I'm able to grow from it rather than just going like, I'm going to blow another line and be really high
Right.
and then need another one right away and then wake up in hell. And so
Right.
I was talking with a friend of mine who she's just recently decided to quit drinking, and I talked to her tonight and she was talking about about booze and food and boys and whatever else it was. And so it's like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? What am I looking for? What do I want? It's not just, I mean, I want to be, I don't want to just say, well, I just want to be happy, but I want to be content. I want to do something that leaves me fulfilled, you know?
Yeah.
I want to, we all want to be like, what is in this, like, not just living up to your potential, but being what is it? Self-actualization, self-realization, one of those two, where
Yeah. Sure.
you,
Why not both?
yeah, but what do you, the fullest you can be. And
Right.
I was never that. I was always falling apart and barely putting it back together night after night after night.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if I have a bad day or I have a bad moment, or I'll give you an example. California four-way stops. I hate them. I hate them so much
yeah?
because this is the move that everybody does. You know,
Yeah.
that move that, like, and
Oh
you
yeah.
guys who can't,
I live in Oregon. Yeah.
people who can't see it, I'm kind of waving the other person over, and there I was in almost an accident. I mean, I wasn't in an accident. I was watching it because one person wouldn't take the fucking left turn that was theirs to take, and it
Right.
just makes me so angry. And I'm like, can you? And I'm screaming in the car, and I'm just
traffic, man.
and it was just like, are you kidding me? Why would you even just fucking go?
Yeah.
So he can go, so I can go, because that's the right of way.
Uh-huh.
And then the person that screwed it all up is now right in front of me, and everything that I want to do, like, I want to follow them, and I want to fucking yell at them, and I want to see their face so I can know who it was, and I
Yeah.
want to know what an idiot looks like, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, no, let alone, and there's the whole part where I'm just like, man, I want to GTA this motherfucker and just run right into the back of their car.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Pit stop them and yeah.
But, and then so I was like, as soon as it happened and I got to the other side of the intersection, I was like, it's okay, John. It's okay. You're the only one in here. You're the only one feeling this. Take a breath. It's all right. Go do your thing in the shopping center that you need to do. You're going to be fine. And so if I had been drinking or hungover or whatever, one, I could have been in an accident. Two, I probably would let that bother me for a lot longer, you know. And three, I still got to get over it or just avoid that intersection. But that's not really a reasonable way of living life.
Yeah, you've really got to. I'm glad that you're starting to confront your traffic issues. They come up every once in a while.
I know.
You get upset in traffic, but that's okay. I do too. I think it's a very relatable to be upset in traffic, but that's because you're not in control of everybody else around you. You know, I don't know if it's that base of it, because there's also fearing for your safety and also being like, my time. You are fucking impeding on my time, you fucking Neanderthal. But you know, like. Yeah, it's funny. Do you remember when you had that red Dodge Dart that
Yes.
the driver's side door the passenger side door was busted, so if you took a hard right, like I almost flew out of the car every time.
You'd have to wear your seatbelt because the door would
You have to wear your
sometimes just
seatbelt.
open
The door
up.
would just swing open every time you took a hard right, you know? Yeah.
I think
I was
it
just
won-
thinking about that. You talking about your traffic issues, but then you were like 10 years ago, you were just driving this. It was longer.
Yeah, it was longer
You're driving
than
that shit box.
Sometimes you put
Yeah.
like a bungee cord around the in between the windows so that you could
That was the
keep
only
the
way to
thing.
keep the door closed. But then you'd have to get out. So
Yeah,
you're
it was
like,
it was a
I'll
mess.
wait for John to get out so I can get out.
So it was
Yeah.
so yeah, again, this is how far we have come, and but even in, I don't know, I mean, when you first quit drinking,
Yeah.
what were you looking for? Like, what did you want from it?
From sobriety?
What did you want
Or
from
recovery?
sobriety?
Well, in the beginning it was sobriety because there wasn't a lot of good recovery. I like the difference between sobriety and recovery. The idea, this is my opinion,
What is it?
Is that, well, sobriety is just not drinking. It's just me not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
But recovery was me trying to get better and to confront those behaviors and try to mend those behaviors which had stemmed all the drinking, right? Because I know there's a physical aspect. There is a physical aspect to my alcoholism. I know there's the chemical in my head, and I also know that through genetics, I got to win that lottery. But I know that, and I don't use that as an excuse. I know what I am, but I also know that I have to do this thing, drink, to become what I am. So the sobriety was just not drinking, but the recovery was me trying to fix the emotional responses and the coping mechanisms I had in order to not have to turn to alcohol to deal with life serving me a big steaming plate of life, as my old man says. But I've totally lost count of the question you asked me.
No,
what I wanted out of it.
What did you
Yeah,
want
that's
in the
what
very
I wanted.
beginning? You
I
wanted
just
sobriety.
I wanted sobriety. Well, I wanted to be sober because I didn't want to keep making the same mistakes I was making. I kept hitting the same outcome every single time, and it never changed. It wouldn't change. I would get drunk. I'd be really great for drink 1 through 6. Everybody loved me. Then drink 6 through 9. I would get mad, and then drinks 9 through go to sleep. I was just awful. I was suicidal. I was loud. I was mean. I hurt feelings. I hurt my wife really bad. Not physically, but I was really emotionally fucked up towards her, and I kept making those mistakes with people I cared about too. Other people, I'd call up family members and try to tear into them and shit. And I didn't want to do that, but I kept coming to that same outcome every single time. 2 plus 2 always equaled 4, and I wanted it to be 8. And I was like, fuck, and realized that I had to learn a new math, and sobriety was part of that new math. Plus physically, dude, my heart was fucked up. My heart was always beating fast, and every small pain in my chest, I was like, this is it. I'm going to die. Yeah. And I smoked like a chimney and always felt physically ill, always sweated, just sweating, farting, never just made a diarrhea. I literally just made of it, just a bunch of it in a man suit, just walking around, Yeah. I hope you're enjoying your dinner tonight, podcast listener. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to not have those things. And I knew that moderation wasn't going to work because I tried to moderate. I tried to moderate every night, and I was like, this is not, I just need to flat out just quit this shit. And then I was sober for a few months and just miserable, fucking restless and irritable and discontented. Like it says in that literature, I felt it. And I was like, man, I got to figure something out. I got to figure out, I can't afford therapy, and I don't know what to do. And I know I have people very close to me who have gone into the, into the 12-step program we use. So I went to that, and it helped me out immensely in those first few years. And it still helps out now. I use it differently than I did in the beginning, but that's what I was looking for, was contentment, stability, not making the same mistake. I was desperate, man. Yeah. I was desperate.
It's recovery is, and I've said this because I've heard this, but that it's recovering the person you were before you started drinking.
Right.
And I think that that's partially true. I think that I started drinking very early, and I don't know that I was a fully developed adult. So I went through, I was trying to develop as a child. And I think, through a lot of childhood trauma as well, that was still, so that was kind of twofold. So it's like, okay, well, who I was before was a broken child. And then I drank for 20 years, and I woke up one day and I was a broken adult. And so trying to go back, like arch back over in the past to those 20 years of drinking and say, okay, I'm going to start there and then fix myself, it sounds like such a daunting task. And I think that's why we use the phrase one day at a time rings so true. It's like, okay, so if I'm stuck back at being 17 or 18 again emotionally, It's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, dude. All
Yeah,
right.
what the fuck? I don't want to do that.
Ugh.
You know, like, ugh.
But
Yeah.
the reward that comes with it, I think for me, was that it's exponential. Just as your drinking is exponentially worse,
Yeah.
I think your recovery as you go through it and put in the work in yourself is exponentially better. So it's like, so the last 3 years, I don't know that I've caught up to 42, which is what I'll be next year, but I don't know. I'm probably in my late 20s emotionally. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I'm about there with you. I think
Right?
I'm maybe mid 20. I'm like 24. I got it.
Like 26 or something. It feels 26,
Yeah.
Farts still make me laugh. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
every day. I just told a diarrhea joke and we both were so pleased.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we were absolutely pleased. Yeah.
So just recovering, and we, again, think about the word. What are you recovering? You are recovering your life. You are recovering you're recovering time and energy and, emotion that you haven't had that you've just been throwing away.
Yeah. Well, I love this concept you're talking about of being a broken kid and then growing up and, recovering and being a broken adult. And then from there trying to fix the broken adult. Because for me, I feel like when you said you've heard that recovering who you were before you started drinking. And I immediately was like, I don't want to be that fucking guy. That guy started drinking because he was fucking miserable and then became more miserable. But if I can recover that guy and then try to work him into his potential as a person, like live up to his whatever his potential is, and let's do that. But I absolutely do not want to be like 15-year-old Jerry again.
No,
and I'm taking it very literally, but then I think, well, what if I take 15-year-old Jerry and like help him out, or I find people who can help himself. God, that's yeah. And that's a motherfucker, man. That's the void. That's it, right?
I mean, I think because now you try to meet that kid in the middle somewhere, and now you're like, oh, well, I've been sober for 4 years, and I'm like emotionally 24 years old, and give it another 4, and maybe I'll be caught up,
right,
to where I need to be as an adult.
Yeah. I hope so. I mean, but I also, there's this weird part of me that never wants to fully meet my potential, because the self-improvement, working on myself is kind of fun. It sounds fucking crazy, but working on myself is very fulfilling. Learning a lesson it makes me feel like, I pat myself on the back. I go in the living room, like, call my wife, and I'm like, yo, I just did adult shit. Like, I didn't act like a fucking asshole today. And then I pat myself on the back like I'm doing great. And that to me is like,
so
really
what you're saying is you kind of want to take it easy on the self work, because you're a little afraid of perfection. You don't want to get to perfection too quick.
I don't want to be too fucking perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting close to it as it is, and it just kind of it affects everyone around me. They get jealous.
Yeah, right. You don't want to be.
It's funny because right before I did this podcast, my wife was just talking to my daughter about how we have to throw away the dog's baby pool. She bought a kiddie pool for the dog to swim in the summer. The dog, whatever. And she's like, well, we got to throw that kiddie pool away anyway. And Olive's like, why? And my wife's like, well, Daddy put a hole in it. And I was like, I put a hole in it? And she's like, yeah, you were trying to get this tool to work and it wasn't working. So you threw it across the yard and it put a hole in the dog pool because it hit the dog pool. And I was like, and she's saying this from my 8-year-old, right? So my kid's like, oh, Dad's got a fucking anger issue, And I'm in the bathroom and I'm like, I'm not in the room with them, right? She's saying it like down the hall, and I'm like in the bathroom doing something, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do I approach this? Like, how do I come out and get defensive? Because immediately that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out and be like, well, if I've been stressed all day, that fucking tool is pissing me off, and I didn't mean to throw it at anything. I just threw it and it hit something. And then the part of my brain that is improving is like, why don't you just apologize? Explain to your daughter that was dumb and that you shouldn't do shit like that and just not do it again. And so, I came out and I'm like, yo, that's my bad. I fucked up. I have anger issues. I look at my kid and I'm like, throwing shit around is not going to make anything work any better. You probably break what you're using. So let's try to avoid that.
Did you tell her that? Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say the shit part and everything, but, I was like, yo, like your dad, I get like overcome sometimes with emotion. I get really upset and I'm working with the tools I have, and sometimes my tools fail me, and sometimes my tools aren't great. They're broken. And so when I act that way, that's not a great solution to my problem. All that was me being frustrated and acting out. And I'm like, you know what acting out is, right? And she's like, yeah, kids act out of school all the time. And I'm like, I basically acted like a little kid. So I'm like, I need to learn better. I explain to her all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm good. I'm cool, but I'm not that, I fuck up all the time.
You could probably get
But
some of that
like,
that fancy waterproof tape they got. I saw it on the infomercial.
Oh shit!
Right?
Yeah, but it's like literally a $10 kiddie pool that is like 2 feet in diameter.
No.
But yeah, see, now I'm justifying my actions. I should just fix the pool, or go get him a better one. But then my mind was like, okay, I'll come out and say I'll buy a new one. But then I'm like, what? You're just gonna buy off your bad behavior?
Well, the pool could be the physical manifestation of that self improvement that you long for to live in.
I'm gonna build him a deck with a fucking dope pool,
like a little waterfall or water slide.
Yeah. It'll be more of a hot tub for me,
Yes.
but like he can get in it every once in a while. I'm having dinner in the hot tub.
Dog in the hot tub.
But yeah, so what I'm saying is like, and I right, and so then after I did that, I looked at Megan like, ding, like little fucking sparkle mine. I'm like, I'm improving, and she's just like, no, you're not. You're just basically fixing what you broke, and I'm like, I'm improving, Like,
well, the time between doing something bad and one, in the past you would just do something bad and then never apologize for it.
Right, or apologize and just do it over.
And do it again and
actually,
again and
I
again.
apologize and keep doing it again. Yeah, that's my jam. Yeah.
And then so now you apologize, you fix it. However you fix it, I don't know how you're gonna fix it, or maybe you fix it.
I'll throw it away and buy a new one. But
that's fine.
I mean, it's winter, so we don't got to worry about it.
No, the cat, the dog's not going in the pool. But
He's
yeah,
as big as a cat.
it's like Mark Maron says. He says, we make better mistakes, and so that's a much,
bam, yeah.
So that's a better mistake that you made today than you would have made maybe even a year ago.
So, a year ago I would have been like, it's fucking winter, the dog never gets in the pool. I would have had tons I would have gotten defensive immediately. And just tonight, just that one little action of just coming out and owning up to it, like I felt better about it. Everybody felt better about it. Olive didn't even care. She just is an 8-year-old. She just does whatever she does, It was more my wife throwing me under the bus. And I wanted to come out and be like, bitch, that was fucking 3 weeks ago. But that's not accurate. That's what my inner alcoholic was like. You come out and you just fucking just be a gangster rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No,
That's
not
what
for
my
long.
inner alcoholic does. I also want to be known to listeners that I don't call my wife bitch. That's just my internal, like,
yes,
invasive thoughts.
Yes.
Invasive thoughts. Yeah.
I want to I want to hear the gangster rap about poking the hole in the dog pool.
In the dog pool, yeah, just being like a 43-year-old dad.
That's recovery raps right there.
Oh, dude, the dog, 43-year-old dad. The pliers made me mad.
The pliers made me mad. What were you fixing?
Trying to fix my massage table.
Ah, yes.
And I'm unable, like Aesop's fables.
Yes.
Trying to fix a frayed cable. That's exactly what I was doing. It was a broken cable on my massage table. And I was unable to get it fixed. And so I'm emotionally unstable.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not bringing much to the table.
Ooh, you can't stop yourself now.
No, I can't. But no, I was trying to fix this massage table for work that, it snapped. Cable snapped. And I was trying to crimp this, it wasn't even a pair of pliers. It was like this big crimp. Crimper.
Man,
yeah. I was like, fucking thing, and threw it.
You get a new pool. The dog doesn't want to go anywhere near it anyway.
Right. No, dude, it's the worst. In the summer, he goes in it, gets wet, comes in the house, runs around, gets everything wet. It all smells like wet dog. That's my void.
So
Coco.
yeah, and it's different for everyone. For me, it's about defining it, right? So you have to define what you need, and then you have to figure out a way to get there. And what are the tools to get it? What are and again, that's different for everybody. But it's
yeah.
But
we are all unique. We are all different types of drunks.
Yes.
We're all different types of rage monsters. Some of us aren't rage monsters. And yeah, we're all very different. That we just have that one unifying thing.
And
it's that we're alcoholics.
That we're alcoholics. That's how we try to connect on whatever whatever's bothering, or with whatever's bothering us. Whatever, that's what we
Right.
try to use to fix. And we go, and everybody understands that. We all understand each other on that level, whether it's trying to fix a table, or, you know, getting road rage, or any number of
Exactly.
things. It's about trying to fill the void with what you need rather than what you want. At least that's what I try to do now. I mean, and I find if I take care of what I need, what I want is the next thing in line.
Yeah.
So, most of the time.
I try not to avoid the void.
Don't avoid the void.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good. All right, Jerry.
void.
Any
yeah,
last
okay.
words for these nice people?
Yeah, I don't call my wife a bitch. I swear to God.
All right. Now, I don't believe that she would tolerate it.
I'll have her on the next podcast. It should just be like, he's fine.
He's fine.
No, I'm good. I love all these people listening to us. It's rad.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do appreciate you people. And I appreciate you, John.
And I appreciate you too, Jerry.
Yeah.
Good talk.
There's no punchline.
No,
there. Good
no.
talk.
Good talk. Thanks again for listening. As always, our music is by Neglect. You can find his stuff at neglectsound.bandcamp.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And get a hold of us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.